The Iranian Space Agency is Iran's governmental space agency. Iran became an orbital launch-capable nation in 2009. Iran is one of the 24 founding members of the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, which was set up in 1958. History. ISA was established on 1 February 2004 according to the Article 9 of the Law for Tasks and Authorizations of the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, passed on 10 December 2003 by the Parliament of Iran. Based on the approved statute, ISA mandated to cover and support all the activities in Iran concerning the peaceful applications of space science and technology under the leadership of a Supreme Council of Space, chaired by Iran's president. The Council's main goals included policy making for the application of space technologies aiming peaceful uses of outer space, manufacturing, launching and use of the national research satellites, approving the space-related state and private sector programs, promoting the partnership of the private and cooperative sectors in efficient uses of space, identifying guidelines concerning the regional and international cooperation in space issues, to follow and implement the strategies set by the Council. ISA, affiliated with the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology in the form of an autonomous organization, was organized. The President of ISA held the position of the Vice Minister of Communications and Information Technology in the Secretariat of Supreme Council of Space at the same time. Budget. The proposed budget for the year 1393 is 1,865,583 million rials. Other related organizations have received separate budget allocations. Iranian Space Research Center has received an additional 1,751,000 million rials of budget for the year 1393. The budget for the year 2008 was mentioned to be $3.9 billion. However, it was not apparent whether the allocation was just for 1 year or a longer period. Satellite Launch Vehicle. Sofia SLV. Iran has developed an expendable satellite launch vehicle named Sofia SLV, measuring 22 meters in height with a core diameter of 1.25 meters, with 2 liquid propellant stages, a single thrust-chambered first stage and a 2-thrust-chambered, step-throttled second stage. The SLV has a liftoff mass exceeding 26 tons. The first stage consists of a lengthened uprated Shahab 3C. According to the technical documentation presented in the annual meeting of the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, it is a 2-stage rocket with all-liquid propellant engines. The first stage is capable of carrying the payload to the maximum altitude of 68 kilometers. Sofia 1B. The Sofia 1B is the second generation of Sofia SLV and can carry a satellite weighing 60 kilograms into an elliptical orbit of 300 to 450 kilometers. The thrust of the Sofia 1B rocket engine has been increased from 32 to 37 tons. Samoled SLV. In 2010, a more powerful rocket named Samoled was built. Its mission is to carry heavier satellites into orbit. The Samoled rocket is 27 meters long, and has a mass of 77 tons. Its first stage is powered by 4 main engines, each generating up to 29,000 kilograms of thrust, plus a fifth which will be used for altitude control, which provides an additional 13,600 kilograms. At liftoff, these engines will generate a total of 130,000 kilograms of thrust. Samoled is capable of putting a 60-kilogram payload into a 500-kilometer low Earth orbit. The first flight of the Samoled rocket is scheduled to occur by 2013. In 2015, Israeli media reported the missile is capable of taking a manned spacecraft or satellite into space. News SLV. On 2 February 2013, the head of the Iranian Space Agency, Fazli, mentioned that the new satellite launch vehicle, News, will be used after the Samoled SLV for heavier payloads. Suborbital Launches. On February 25, 2007, the Iranian state-run television announced that a rocket created by the Ministries of Science and Defense and which carried an unspecified cargo, was successfully launched. This could have been the maiden test flight of the three-stage Sofia SLV, which ended in a failure. Later on, it was noted by Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad that the failure was due to a technical problem in the last stage of the SLV. On February 4, 2008, Iran successfully launched a two-stage all-solid fuel suborbital sounding rocket KAVOSHGAR-1 for a maiden suborbital test flight from Sharod, its newly inaugurated domestic space launch complex. The first stage of the rocket detached after 90 seconds and returned to Earth with the help of a parachute, while the second stage reached a 200 km altitude before re-entering the Earth's atmosphere after 300 seconds. The third section of the rocket, containing an atmospheric probe, climbed to 250 kilometers while successfully transmitting scientific data on the atmosphere and the electromagnetic waves on its path back to Earth. It deployed a parachute after 6 minutes at a lower altitude. The second KAVOSHGAR, which carried a space lab and a restoration system, was launched in November 2008. Animals in Space. On February 3, 2010, ISA launched a KAVOSHGAR-3 rocket with one rodent, 2 turtles, and several worms into suborbital space and returned them to Earth alive. The rocket was unable to transfer electronic data and live footage back to Earth. The Iranian Aerospace Organization showed live video transmission of mini-environmental lab to enable further studies on the biological capsule. This was the first biological payload launched by Iran. Iran is the sixth country to send animals in space. On March 15, 2011, the ISA launched the KAVOSHGAR-4 rocket carrying a test capsule designed to carry a monkey, but without living creatures on board. KAVOSHGAR-5 carrying a live monkey was launched for a 20-minute suborbital flight in September 2011, however the mission failed. On October 3, Iran indefinitely postponed further plans while scientists reviewed readiness for future missions. In May 2012, Iran announced that it would send more living creatures into the space by the summer. Following the last failed attempt, ISA was seeking to successfully send a monkey into space by 2013. ISA head Hamid Fazli told the Iranian news agency Mehr that the designated monkeys are currently in quarantine. On January 29, 2013, Iranian state media announced that a monkey was sent into space and returned safely aboard the Peshgam capsule, after having reached a height of 120 kilometers. This was the first time that Iran has sent a primate into space, 54 years after the first monkeys Abel and Baker returned safely. No details on the timing or location of the launch were given. On December 14, 2013, Iran launched a second monkey, named Fargam, on a suborbital flight. The monkey is reported to have been retrieved successfully and safe, after the short 15-minute flight. Orbital launches. On August 17, 2008, Iran proceeded with the second test launch of a two-stage Sofia SLV from a site south of Semnan in the northern part of the Dasht-e Kava Desert. Reza Tahazadeh, head of the Iranian Aerospace Organization, told state television, "The Sofia satellite carrier was launched today and, for the first time, we successfully launched a dummy satellite into orbit." On February 2, 2009, Iranian state television reported that Iran's first domestically made satellite Omed had been successfully launched into LEO by a version of Iran's Sofia rocket, the Sofia 2, and therefore Iran became the ninth country to put a domestically built satellite into orbit. The operation was made to coincide with the 30th anniversary of the Iranian Revolution. In February 2011, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad announced that there will be many launches of indigenously produced orbiters in 2011-2012 period. Iran plans to send 1-ton satellites into an orbit of 1,000 kilometers and is setting up a new launch base for this purpose. Iran is also planning to launch satellites into orbits of up to 36,000 kilometers in 2016. Launched satellites. On October 28, 2005, a Cosmos 3 booster rocket launched Sina-1. The joint Iranian-Russian Sina-1 project cost $15 million, and the launch made Iran the 43rd country to possess its own satellite. Environment 1, a joint research satellite of Iran, China and Thailand was launched on a Chinese Long March 2C carrier rocket on September 6, 2008, aimed at boosting cooperation on natural disasters such as flooding, drought, typhoon, landslide and earthquake. The twin Earth observation satellites of 8 planned were launched from Thai Yuan SLC. The satellites all work as a constellation with 6 other satellites yet to be launched. Its observational footprint is 720 kilometers. With a lifespan of more than 3 years, they have state-of-the-art imaging systems and infrared cameras and provide a global scan every 2 days. Iran had shouldered $6.5 million out of the $44 million of the total project cost. Omid, Iran's second satellite, was placed in orbit in February 2009, and was described as a data processing satellite for research and telecommunications. RASAD-1 is an imaging satellite that has been built and launched successfully by Iran. The satellite was sent into the 260 km orbit by a Sofia rocket launcher on June 15, 2011. It beams back to Earth pictures with 150-meter resolution. Navidi El-Mosanat, which is an experimental satellite built by students for testing camera and telecommunications equipment, was revealed to the public on February 3, 2010. It has store-dump capability and a resolution of 400 meters. On February 3, 2012, Iranian press reported that Iran has successfully launched its domestically built Navidi El-Mosanat satellite into orbit. FAJR is an imaging satellite which also carries an experimental locally made GPS system built by Iran Electronics Industries. The satellite will have a lifespan of 1.5 years and an imaging resolution of 500,1000 meters. It is the first Iranian satellite to use cold gas thruster and has solar panels. Originally, it was to be launched in 2012. As were alleged, non-announced by Iran, 2 failed launches of FAJR satellites occurred on May 23 and October in 2012. Finally, the HA was successfully launched and placed into orbit on February 2, 2015. Unlaunched satellites. Tolu is the first of a new generation of reconnaissance satellites being built by Iran Electronics Industries with SIGINT capabilities. It has been designed to spy on Iran's adversaries. Its launch date was originally set for 2012. The launcher is expected to be a Samoled missile. The new launch date has been set for 2015. Nazir-1, Iran's indigenously designed satellite navigation system, has been manufactured to find the precise locations of satellites moving in orbit. Nahid satellite with folding solar panels to be launched in 2012. Sharif satellite to be launched in 2012 is an observation satellite with an imaging resolution of better than 12.5 meters. The satellite is manufactured by Sharif University of Technology. Zafar-1 is an imaging satellite to be launched in 2012 and will have a resolution better than 80 meters. The satellite will be sent into a geostationary orbit. The launcher is expected to be a Samoled missile. Mesbah was to be built by Iran in collaboration with Italy's Carlo Gabazzi Space SPA. Mesbah was a low Earth orbit telecommunication satellite. The satellite was never launched as both Russia and Italy refused to cooperate with Iran anymore on space projects. The original Mesbah project was later on replaced by indigenous Mesbah 2, which is to be built and launched by Iran alone. It was reported in April 2011 that the $10 million satellite built in Italy has not been delivered to Iran. Italy has refused to hand over the satellite to Iran under the pretext of international sanctions on Iran. Iran maintains that the satellite be handed over for its launch by an Iranian satellite carrier. Mesbah 2 is a limited application communication satellite which was conceived as a locally designed satellite after the original Mesbah project failed to materialize due to international pressures on Iran. It will have a lifespan of 3 years with store-dump capability and its own navigation system. It is scheduled for launch in 2012. QAEM is a geosynchronous communication satellite that is being developed by Iran and is scheduled to be launched on an Iranian carrier by 2016. The satellite is going to have a life expectancy of 15 years, broadcasting TV and radio channels. Pars-Seper is a remote sensing satellite being built and to be launched from Iran. Its launch date is not yet confirmed. Pars-2 is a remote sensing satellite being built and to be launched from Iran. Its launch schedule has not yet been announced. AUT-SAT is a microsatellite being developed by students of Amir Kabir University of Technology. It is designed as a remote sensing satellite with store-dump capability. It is to be launched in 2012. Amir Kabir satellite, weighing 80 kilograms, will reportedly be placed in a sun-synchronous orbit of 660 kilometers in radius, and will remain in space between 3 and 5 years. The launcher is expected to be a Samoled missile. ZS-4 is an Iranian satellite to be launched by an Iranian launcher. Its mission role and launch date have not been revealed. Sina-2 is a small satellite that will replace the mission role of Sina-1. SM-2S is an Iranian satellite to be launched by an Iranian launcher. Its mission role and launch date have not been revealed. Iran is also to implement 10 satellite projects with Asia-Pacific Space Cooperation Organization members. The organization has defined 10 projects on designing, building and launching light satellites, middle-class satellites weighing 500 to 600 kilograms, research satellites, remote sensing and telecommunications satellites. Besharat satellite is being built by Iran with collaboration of some OIC members which have volunteered in the project. It is to be launched by Iran. The countries which are jointly working with Iran on the project are Pakistan, Turkey, Malaysia and some Arab countries. Its launch date is not yet confirmed. Zora is a geosynchronous communication satellite which was originally proposed before the revolution in the 1970s as part of a joint Indian-Iranian project of 4 Iranian satellites to be launched by the then upcoming NASA space shuttles. Iran had also negotiated with France to build and launch the satellites, but the project never materialized. In 2005, Iran negotiated with Russia to build and launch the first Zora satellite under an agreement worth $132 million with the satellite launch date stipulated as 2007-8. The new agreement had followed the earlier failed negotiations with Russia in 2003 when Russia cancelled the project under U.S. pressures. The satellite was to be of Express 1000 type and capable of relaying telephone, fax, data and television signals with a lifespan of 15 years. New launch date for the satellite was announced as 2014. Russia had announced in 2009 that it is not going to cooperate with Iran on any space projects. SAR will be produced by Iran's Khaja Nazir Tusi University of Technology. No further details have been given. Space centers. The main launch site of the Iranian Space Agency is Imam Shah, located at 36 degrees 25 minutes 0 seconds north, 55 degrees 01, 0 E, 36.41667 degrees north, 55.01667 degrees east, 36.41667, 55.01667. where suborbital Shahab 3 SLV have been launched. Located at 34 degrees 39 minutes 0 seconds north, 50 degrees 54 minutes 0 seconds east, 34.65000 degrees north, 50.90000 degrees east, 34.65000, 50.90000 is the other launch site. On occasion of the inaugural launch of Iran's first Sofia-class suborbital rocket called KAVOSHGAR-1, Iran unveiled on February 4, 2008, her first satellite launch center 35 degrees 14:02 N 53 degrees 55 minutes 16 seconds east, 35.234 degrees north, 53.921 degrees east, 35.234, 53.921 in Sennan. The facility includes an underground command and control center, a tracking station and a launch pad among other structures. In December 2010 it was announced that due to geographical limitations of first Space Center in injecting satellite into orbit, studies have been carried out for setting up a second launch pad. The new national spaceport of Iran, named after Imam Khomeini, is being built in Sennan. This new port is to be used to launch all future Iranian space missions similar to American Kennedy Space Center or the Baikonur Cosmodrome. In March 2011, Jane's Information Group reported on the basis of its satellite imagery analysis of Iranian space launch sites that Iran is aggressively building complex facilities with very rapid pace, showing the nation's inclinations towards space readiness. In June 2013, Iran inaugurated its first space monitoring center located near Dalijan in Markazi province. According to Iran's Defense Minister General Ahmad Varidi, the new center, which was named Imam Jafar Sadiq, would mostly be used to track and detect space objects and satellites passing overhead using radar, electro-optic and radio systems. Space Test Laboratory. In 2011, Iran launched a number of laboratories for testing space structures and systems, in line with its progressing space program. The laboratory includes 10 labs to reinforce infrastructures of Iran's space industry, and help improve the abilities of human resources.